What's up, guys? Welcome back to This or Therapy. I am your host, Chris Mack. Sorry, it's been another delay. I know it's been a minute since I posted a video, but I promise I'm gonna be more consistent. Just life is moving and I gotta, handle other things. It's kind of like a little personal hobby of mine. So, sometimes it gets put on the back burner. But I promise I'm gonna be more consistent for those who are following me and things of that nature. And for those who have been watching and liking and things of that nature, I really appreciate it. While you're here, since we're talking about it, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the page, and we can get started. So today's topic, I want to talk about the fetishization of whiteness. Now, in 2023 and since 2020 and even beyond that, we've always talked about fetishization, right? Anytime, you see a person that is white in the culture of insert here, we always wonder if their intentions are legit, like if they are actually interested in the culture, or are they culture vultures, or are they just fetishizing, fetishizing, black, white, or black, Latino, whatever the case may be, insert here. And we do worry about that, right? Because that is a thing. A lot of cultures have been fetishized, and especially in major cities, what I'm saying is, there's a lot of things that are normal in other cultures, and as soon as white people attach themselves to it, now they become expensive. You know what I mean? Certain foods, certain, articles of clothing, things of that nature, as soon as white people get interested in it, it becomes something that was $5, now it's $15. Don't know why, but we often talk about that, like white people fetishizing us, people of color. But here's the thing that we don't talk about. We don't talk about how often people of color fetishize whiteness. It's true. It really is true. Sometimes a lot of times there's a lot of people, especially immigrants and things of that nature. They come to the U.S. and they think, all right, well, I have to be, they see whiteness as like the ultimate goal, to be truly American, to be successful. And so they try to get themselves as close in proximity to whiteness as they can. Now, sure, that's a survival tactic, but also we know now that in today's day and age, you don't have to be white to be successful in this country. It's just fact. You don't have to be. And there are still people who view whiteness as success in this country, But yeah, and I kind of get it, you know what I'm saying? Because when we talk about fetishes, sometimes it's not something of just being obsessed with the culture, but sometimes it's the culture that accepted you, right? When I was growing up, not so much now, but when I was growing up, I lived my formative years mostly in the suburbs, right? So when there would be other black people around me and I would be around other black people, they would tell me that, oh, you act white, or you talk white, you sound white, blah, 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 you dress white. And maybe in some ways I did, but what does that even mean? You know what I mean? It's I didn't, I wasn't trying to be, white. I was just living in the culture that I was in. I was in the suburbs, there wasn't really many black kids around. So you adjust, you start, looking like the people around you. But then I realized, with that mindset too, there's also still black people that think that white, because you go back to the old days, right? Go back to the 60s and before that, right? Whiteness was seen as success because white people were the only ones that were educated or allowed to be educated. White people spoke properly. White people had money, you know what I'm saying? So that was seen as success. So so you say you acting white, that means you were acting people of success, but that's not the case anymore. But there are still people that see whiteness as that success, right? That's why sometimes you see men, of color who only date white women, right? Because to them, having a white woman by your side means that you made it. You're a successful man. People are gonna respect you because you got a white woman. And in some ways, maybe some of that is true, but it's also not true, right? Because it's not about the color of the woman that makes you look successful. It's about that woman's principles and how she holds herself and how she presents herself when she's with you and without you. So, that's really something that, we got to get away from as far as whiteness. I also think some of that fetishization, just like on our side from, white to black or whatever, I think a lot of it comes from people who watch adult themed movies, right? Because if you really think about it, like if you watch enough adult content, who's mostly in it? White people. And who's mostly the stars of it? White women, right? I think men, especially, who watch adult films, adult content, they see mostly white women, right? White women have kind of been like the norm of society, especially in America, of like peak level of attractiveness, peak level of hotness, peak level of, beauty, whatever. And so if you're spending all your time pleasuring yourself to, adult films, who are you mostly seeing? White women. So if you're seeing mostly white women, then you start to kind of develop a desire for that, and then you start to fetishize it because you want to see what you've been seeing. You want to be having those activities that you're seeing on your phone or on your laptop, on your screen, wherever the case you ever watch it. You want to be a part of that, and so you start to develop that fetishization. So it's like you have to ask yourself sometimes, like, am I dating this white woman because I like her, or am I dating her because of some image that I have in my head of like a perfect life or like of sexiness? You know what I mean? And you don't talk about that, right? Because it's always seen as a negative when a white person wants to date, insert nationality here, but it's never seen on the other side because we can fetishize just as much as they fetishize. You know what I mean? Especially if you're, in America, it's easy to do that. You know what I mean? Like, are you with that white woman because she's white, or are you with that white woman because you like her as a person? You got to ask yourself that question, because you could both be, that's the thing too, you could both be in a relationship where you're fetishizing each other and don't even really like each other for who you are. You just enjoy the skin color, who it might be, and what it looks like. You know what I mean? And that can lead to all kinds of problems, especially if you stay together long enough, because you already have enough issues to deal with, especially if you're an interracial couple, with just the idea that you're an interracial couple. Two different cultures coming together could clash in a negative way. So I add more to it, you know what I mean? And that's kind of a sign of it, right? Because if you're spending more of your time defending your relationship than actually being in a relationship, it probably means there's a little bit of fetishization going on there. So, we gotta watch out for that. Like, that's what I'm saying. We never talk about the fetishization on the opposite side. There are a lot of people who think that success means having a white woman on your side, and that's a fetish. To me, that's a fetish. That's you not understanding that you yourself is good enough to be successful, and having a good woman, period, is enough for you to look successful or look accomplished or whatever the case may be. Now, that's not the case for everybody, right? Some people are just attracted to whoever they're attracted to and they love it. And I think there's like I said, there's ways to see past if it's a fetish, right? Like if you're like, let's say for me, if I'm dating a white woman and I see that she doesn't know the culture. She's not just like spouting out stuff to seem like she knows, she's like talking about like hip hop and not just like spouting out random information. If it feels like this is something that she grew up around, it's something that she's really interested in. You can tell when it's somebody who's just like trying to look like they know, and then somebody who doesn't look like they know. Like, I had an ex, she dated a lot of black men, pretty much mostly black men her entire life, like maybe one or two guys that weren't, right? And there were some things that I was showing her in Black culture that she had never seen before, never heard before. And I just wondered, I was like, how are you dating all these Black men, but you don't know like this movie or this song or never seen this TV show? Like none of these dudes ever showed you this? You know what I mean? Like, because I grew up watching this. And if you dated anybody that looks like me, most of them grew up watching this probably too. I know we're not all a monolith and stuff like that, but there are just certain things that like, even if you don't know, you know it. You know what I mean? Like somebody would have showed it to you, you would have seen it or at least heard about it. So how, you know, she was in her late 20s, dated mostly Black men your entire life, and you didn't know, like, she never seen like Martin. You know what I mean? Like that's a pretty prominent American Black show. You know what I mean? So those are the kind of signs where you know like somebody is fetishizing you, because they're not really trying to get to know the culture. They're not really trying to get to know you. They like how you look and not anything about you as a person, right? Because that same girlfriend would hate the way that I dress sometimes, or like try to dress me up looking more Caucasian, you know? So she wasn't really trying to be, and I don't dress like hood or hip hop or nothing like that, but like, you know, you could just tell that she liked my skin tone, but she didn't like my culture. So those are things you gotta look out for, but we gotta talk about that, like that reverse fetishization, right? Because that's the same thing with me, right? I grew up in the suburbs, so I know stuff about like white culture and actually enjoy like some things of white culture. You know what I mean? There's certain songs that I know, there's certain movies that I've watched, you know, things of that nature that I really enjoy. And I get made fun of by other Black people for enjoying these things. Like I grew up liking BB Mack. Not a lot of Black people know about who that is. You know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. But I actually enjoy it. I don't enjoy BB Mack because I know that like white women love BB Mack. I actually enjoy it. You know what I mean? I actually put, you know, there's on my playlist right now. If it comes on, I'm gonna start singing it, you know. Back here, baby. I'll fucking sing it. So those are things, that's the difference, right? So like when I've dated white women, I know that I'm not like fetishizing them because I actually know about white culture. Like hell, sometimes I've even put some of the white women that I have dated onto things that you would think that they would know growing up white. And they like, what? How do you know this? And I don't. I'm like, because I be knowing, you know what I'm saying? So that's just something that we gotta talk about, you know what I'm saying? Because fetishization can work across the board. It's not just white on insert ethnicity or nationality here. It can revert in the back end too. So you gotta be careful of that. All right, guys, that is the end of today's video. This was a fun video. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said, or if you've experienced anything that I've talked about in this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.